Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Rusty Tryon, and I am the director of the library here at St. Mary of the Woods College. So in the next few minutes that we'll be spending together, I want to share with you how to effectively engage with the library to complete your research-based assignments for MHA 540, in particular, the discussion boards where you have to find certain types of information sources. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch over and share my screen so that we can walk through how to approach this particular task. So the first place I want to start is just to remind everyone how to get to this particular page that you're seeing, which is the library's website. So there are several different ways that you can find your way to this particular page. So I'm sure you're very familiar with the college's website, smwc.edu. And if you've noticed across all of the pages of the college, there are two consistent layers of ribbons and navigation. And that very top row um, of options lists offices and resources, and those offices are arranged alphabetically. So if you find in that third column a link to Rooney Library and click on that, it will bring you to this page. Also embedded within every course in Canvas in the navigation menu on the left side of the screen, there is a link labeled Library that will also bring you to this page. We also have a very friendly URL if you want to use that. It's easy to remember. It's library.smwc.edu. And then if all else fails, if you're having a moment and you just can't remember any of those other options for getting here, you can just Google SMWC Library, and the very first link that shows up on your results page in Google will also bring you to this page. So there's a lot of information, a lot of tools on this particular page that you can come back and explore. Today, we're going to be very focused and specific, knowing that our time together is really meant to help you get going on that discussion and finding the sources that you need to be able to complete that effectively. So in order to do that, I'm going to scroll down the page here just a bit. We'll come back and take a look at some of these other options on this page as we spend our time together. But the very first place I want to go is in this quick links section to this button that's labeled databases. So whenever you can, I encourage you to approach research by identifying and using discipline-specific databases. That helps to eliminate a lot of information noise and helps you to very quickly and efficiently get to the most relevant content as you're doing your research. So on this page, you'll see all the databases that are available to you through the college. And so we're going to filter this list down a bit by selecting our healthcare administration list of databases. And this is gives you your best bet, so to speak, at the very top of the list. So if you were just to pick one database to consider doing your research in, this is the one that we think will probably be the most productive and fruitful for you. So in order to search this database, we're just going to go ahead and click on that link. And I think it's helpful to consider maybe some other databases that might have some relevant content. So we're not searching every database that's available to us, but what we can do is next to this, the title of the database here on this link labeled Choose Databases, we can expand that. And these are most of the databases that you saw on that previous page. There are some that are not on this same platform, the same interface, and so they won't be listed. But I would encourage you to consider searching not only Health Business Full Text, but also Academic Search Ultimate and Business Source Ultimate. Those are two very robust databases that will have relevant content for us. And so we can search all three databases at one time just by checking those boxes, clicking that OK button. And now we see up here at the top, we're searching not only Health Business Full Text, but also Academic Search Ultimate and Business Source Ultimate. Certainly you can add to that if you would like to. There are other relevant databases, but I'm just going to keep focused on just those few databases in our time together. So leveraging the assignment instructions is always important as you engage the library to do your research, that you have a firm understanding and grasp of the assignment requirements to make sure that you're, checking the boxes in terms of the information that you need to be finding and using. And so I've done that. I've read through the assignment instructions for this discussion board. I've highlighted it and made notes so that I make sure that I'm finding the right types of information for this particular assignment. So one of the first things we need to do is consider the terms that we're going to use to find the relevant content. So you have some guidance there in your assignment instructions in terms of the topical focus of each discussion and so on and so forth. And so I'm just going to use one chapter from your textbook, which is the one that's focused on marketing in a digital age, to find some relevant content. So I think, it's easy for us to consider and use healthcare marketing as one of our key terms in searching, since that's what the class is all about. And now we can be a bit more targeted. So we think about marketing in a digital age. I'm maybe interested in social media and the use of social media in marketing and healthcare. So I'll note at this point that there are these drop downs next to those fields that we've just populated with our text. I'm not going to change these in any way, but I will say this, that as you go and do your searching and you're finding your results, if you find that there is a large number, and we're going to limit this before we actually do our search in just a moment, but if you find that even after limiting in the ways that I'm about to show you, that there is a large number of results, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of results, if not thousands, then one thing you might consider is using this title limiter, where it's searching just for these terms that you're interested in the titles of the articles. So keep that tucked away in the back of your mind. If you find that you're getting too many results, just select that title from the drop down to limit in a very helpful way that really gets you relevant content very, very quickly. So with my assignment instructions in mind, I know that I need to use peer-reviewed journal content. And so within this interface, it's really easy to get that type of content, literally just by checking the box next to that descriptor. So think of peer review as kind of a quality control mechanism for academic publishing. Really, that's what it comes down to. So this peer review is a process where experts in the field review the content that's coming through for publication to ensure that it's valid, that it's valid and it's reliable, and so on and so forth. And so it is just that quality control check. Another thing I want to do is limit by the year of publication, because again, back to my assignment instructions, I need to use recent content. I'm going to go back 10 years. That may not be recent enough, right? So if you need some additional guidance on that, then I would just encourage you to connect with your professor to know kind of what is the parameter in terms of the publication date that would be acceptable. So I've got recency of publication there by using that publication date range. I've got the peer reviewed there. I've got the ideas that I want in my content. So I'm going to go ahead and execute my search here. And I have 47 results, and that's a good number. I generally try to aim for around 50. Certainly no more than 100, but I think getting close to 50 is a good place to be. So as you go through this, you can begin to make some evaluative decisions on which of these articles will be helpful or applicable for completing your assignment or not. So one thing that another limitation of your assignment is that you need to use content that's published from U.S. journals. And so some of these are kind of difficult to tell whether they are US publications or not, but some of them are pretty easy to tell that they are not. So just looking at number 2 here, that text stands out as strange a bit, right? And so as we look closer at that, we can see that this is a Polish publication. And so that's one that we're not going to be able to use according to this assignment and the criteria that have been established for us. And so we'll have to skip over that and find something that's more relevant. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by clicking on this first article that's given to us here. And on this page, this is the record for this particular article. And so it just has a lot of information about this particular title. And so big and bold in the middle of the screen there is the title of this particular article, followed by those who wrote it, the journal that it appears in, and then some descriptive text to help describe the content using those little phrases, those subject terms. So in order to know if we're dealing with a US publication here, the easiest way that I found to do this is just by clicking on the title of the journal that's listed for us there. It is a hyperlink. And so when we click on that, we see that this particular publication is coming from Kennesaw State University down in Stephenville, Georgia. So this is a US publication. And so we're good on that. We've met that criterion for the assignment. So we're safe to use this particular article. One thing that I always like to draw your attention to is the abstract, and that's a short summary of this particular article. And so I always encourage you to take a minute or two to read through that to determine if this article is one that you're interested in using, that it is, relevant and pertinent to the assignment at hand. And within a matter of a minute or two, you can read through that and determine if it is something you want to use or not. And if it is, great, you can move on and find the second article that you need for completing the assignment. And if it isn't, then you really haven't spent a whole lot of time, just a minute or two to evaluate this to determine if it's going to be useful for you in completing the assignment. So a couple of tools that I think are very useful here. So first of all, over on the left side of the screen, there's the PDF full text. So you click on that. There's the full content of the article for you to read to help you complete the assignment. On the right-hand side of the screen, the two options, the two tools that I want to really focus in on are, first of all, this cite button. Again, part of your assignment requirements is to correctly cite this particular work in APA style. And so one way that we can do that very efficiently and effectively is by clicking on that cite button. And it opens for us here in the middle of the screen this particular article formatted for really what I consider way too many different types of styles and formats. And so we just scroll down this list until we find APA 7, and we're well on our way to citing our source. Now, I always encourage students to use this because it is a great time saver rather than manually typing this particular reference for your reference list. You just copy and paste. However, this is where the red flashing light goes off. There is the caution when using these to remember that they are machine generated. As great as some of these tools can be, we always want to double check to make sure that they are correct. We want to make sure that that citation that we're pulling is complete, that everything's in there that needs to be in there, and that it's accurate, that it's formatted according to the standards. I am not the top expert in APA format, but I can tell that there are errors in this particular citation that I will have to fix when I'm citing this particular article in my discussion. And so immediately what I see here is the title of the article is formatted in what we call headline case, and titles of articles in APA style should be using sentence case. So that's one thing that you'll have to go back in and change, but I would much rather copy and paste this over and make those few adjustments rather than creating this all by myself. So that's one help to facilitate your being able to complete the assignment effectively. And then the last thing that I want to show on this page is, you want to be able to share a link with your class so that if they want to, they can come back in and read this article as well. And so typically what you'll be looking for is in this record, and I'll show you one here in a bit, where at the very bottom of this page, and sometimes on that result list as well, you'll see a tag that's DOI, that stands for Digital Object Identifier, and essentially that's the URL. However, some of them don't have it, so in this case, there is no DOI, but even in the case where there is a DOI, typically those point to the publisher site. And when they point to the publisher site, typically you won't be able to gain access to the article unless you pay for it. That's just how publishers work, right? We all have our things, and that's what publishers do. So if you find full text content within a library database like this, look for something labeled stable link, permanent link, perma URL, something like that. And over on the right-hand side here is permalink. So when we click on that, it gives us a URL that we can copy and paste and include as part of our assignment so that others can click on that. And when they do, if they're affiliated with the college, which everyone is in the class, they'll be directed right back to this page. So they'll see this record, they'll see the PDF of the full text, and they'll be able to read that content. So that's a really helpful tool, especially in those cases where you may find an article that's has a DOI that points to the publisher site, and we want to make sure that everyone gets to the content without having to feel like they have to pay to be able to complete that part of the assignment. So I'm going to come back to the library's page here and mention the quick search. So as part of your assignment, you're told that as you're reading through the chapters, you may find a source listed in the references for that particular chapter that you're interested in and you might want to use for completing this assignment. So if you do find yourself in that situation, there's an article that looks really interesting to you that you'd like to investigate, and you want to know if it's available to you through the library, you can search it using this quick search. So I'm going to change the dropdown from keyword to title, and I'm going to type in quotation marks, the article that I'm interested in. And so I've searched it already, but here's my article that I'm interested in, Beyond Dr. Google. And so when I search that, the interface is very similar to what we just saw, but it does have this little ribbon at the top that says Welcome Guest. Just to make sure that you're getting the full experience and full access to what's available to you, you can go ahead and click on that link, and that link will disappear. Now you're signed into the system. So one thing that we notice here too that's different from what we saw in the previous result list is that there's no full text link, right? There's no PDF full text, HTML full text. In some cases, there may be a link labeled linked full text or view full text. All of those indicate that we have access to that full content immediately on the screen. In this case, that's not there. In its place, we have consistently this link labeled request a copy. What that does is it generates an interlibrary loan request. And so what we do is we'll receive that request for a copy from you, and we'll go out and find a library that does own this content and provide you a copy of that electronically. So that does require some time. And if you find yourself in that situation, I would suggest that you give yourself a day or two to get that content. So for journal article content, that usually is a quick turnaround, but sometimes it's not as smooth a process as we would like. So I would encourage you to budget at least a couple of days if that's something that you want to use. However, I think it's worthwhile in these types of situations to do one of two things. Really, we're doing one thing. We're searching for this content online outside of library databases to see if it's available. And so you can do that one of two ways, right? You can copy and paste this title, or you can locate the DOI. So here's that digital object identifier I was mentioning a few minutes ago. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to resolve this DOI. I'm going to make this into a link. So if you just have the numbers there, then you can just use this prefix of HTTPS doi.org and then add that number that's given to you there, and it just makes it a link. And so now we're directed to this particular article on the publisher site. So this publication diagnosis is published by De Gruyter. And so here we potentially have access to this content. So when you're doing this, when you're Googling the article title or you're resolving that DOI, you want to make sure if it is directing you to somewhere online and you're not having to pay for it, that it is legitimate, that this is not what I like to call bootlegged research, where someone has gotten this article and posted it unethically online for others to use. In this case, this is open access. So the publisher makes this content available for free intentionally for others to use. And so we can just click on that PDF link, and here is that article for us to use for this particular assignment. And the nice thing about taking this route too is that we can rely on that citation tool within the library database to help us format the citation, even though we're going outside of library resources to actually access the content. So as we think about citing those sources, I do want to mention our citation guides. So if you're not overly familiar with APA style, we do have a resource that you can leverage for helping you format your references. So on this writing guide, we do have a references tab that you can click on and find the appropriate style here. So we're looking at a journal article. And so we have for you here the pattern that you would follow, as well as a couple of examples. And so what you'd want to do is just compare the citation you've gotten from the library database to these examples here and make any necessary adjustments to ensure that that citation that you've gotten from the library database is, again, complete and that it's accurate in terms of following the conventions that have been established for that particular style. And then the last thing I want to mention on this particular page is the Ask Us section. So essentially, I just want to end with this, and that is that if, as you are working on these assignments or any other research-based assignments for any of the course that you're in, if you have questions about using the library, the point that we're trying to communicate here is that we're available to help you. So there are lots of different ways that you can connect with us to get clarification or assistance to help you complete those research-based assignments. And so you see there, you can submit a question. If it's not really time sensitive, you just fill out that form and it sends it to us and we respond still in a pretty timely fashion. You can make a research appointment. So if you would want to take some time to connect one-on-one, more likely than not, that would be virtual for you. Then you can schedule that in advance and we'll connect and step through whatever it is you're working on. You see, you can connect with us via email, you can call, you can text with us, and you'll see down there in the lower right-hand corner our chat call out. So whenever the library is open, someone should be manning that, and so you can connect with us via chat to get the assistance that you need as you're working on this. But I always encourage students to take advantage of that if you find yourself in a situation where you just need a little extra help. And it can be as simple as I forgot where the button was to click on to get a citation, to something as I'm really struggling just to know what terms to use in my search to get the relevant content. So there's no question too small, no question too big that we're not ready to assist you with getting that help so that you can complete those assignments effectively and efficiently. So I end with that just as this open invitation to you as you are continuing to work on your assignments. If you need any assistance, please do feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you.